Hey everybody, it's just L here, and I welcome you to the first ever off script. This is a series that I'm going to be doing on this second channel where all I basically do is just ramble without a script about a certain topic. And today, that topic is Digimon Adventure Tri Movie 6, Our Future, the final installment to the Tri series. After 3 goddamn years, we have finally reached this point. So basically, I'm just going to quickly go through my thoughts of the first 5 movies. I'm not going to do any reviews about them. I'm just going to quickly go through, and then I'll talk a little bit about this movie as well as something else about what I was planning to do on my main channel. So the first movie was really great. It was actually very good and all that. So it was a great start. The second movie is my favorite out of all the movies, and that's most likely because of Joe's character arc was so exceptional that I just love it, and it just really helped with the second movie. I know some people who really didn't like it, that's fine, but for me it was that one arc that made it better than the first one. The third movie, not as good as the first two, but I admire it for what it did. The fourth movie was fucking shit. That was god awful. And the fifth movie, whilst not as bad as the fourth, represents everything that was wrong with the series. And that was the film that originally had me thinking, alright, I'm going to do a rant video on Adventure Tri. And originally that video was meant to come out last week, but over rewrites and all this planning, I just couldn't really get a full-on, script ready by that time. So that rant is probably still going to come out maybe some point in the summer. I'm maybe just give myself some time to breathe and some time to think, and then I will make a sort of what went wrong with Tri, or maybe just an analysis. Who knows? I'm going to probably take a break from working on that project and maybe work on something else. Anyway, let's talk about movie 6. What do I think about it? I thought it was okay. But at the time my expectations were so low that it could have. The only way I think it could have disappointed me if it was just an hour and a half of a middle fucking finger or something like that. Yeah, I think it has its problems. It has its glaring problems, which I'll be going through. But all in all, I thought it was just okay. And that might... I think by saying that I put my expectations so low, this movie was both a victory and a defeat. Like, it was better than what I expected, but because my expectations were so low, then there was no real way for me being that disappointed. I didn't expect greatness from this series at part 6, and that is kind of disappointing in itself. So, anyway, what was good about this? What was good? The battle sequences were really good. The battle sequences were pretty good and actually rather intense. I sometimes don't get as invested in the battle sequences, especially with later movies. This one I actually got back into being invested in them. So, yeah, that's a good start. That's probably the major thing. I'll go through sort of stuff from the series, but that's one of the major big things I want to talk about straight away. So, as you know, this is the whole ending of the series. They're going to wrap as much as they can up, and yet somehow they still didn't wrap everything up. For example, there was the Dark Ocean about the woman who Himikawa, I think her name is. How in I think the 5th movie she was found in the dark. She was in the Dark Ocean and she got swept away, and that's it. We hear nothing about her in this movie. At least I didn't see anything about her. She's just gone, and we don't really know anything. I mean, I get that it's sort of her own greed for trying to get back her Digimon back drove her to her own death, if that's the case. But would have been nice to maybe have some sort of conclusion to it. That was the same thing I had with TK's story arc, was the fact that it just sort of ended. It didn't feel like there was a conclusion. It sort of was like, done, we're done, that's it, it's over. So it didn't really, it didn't feel like an ending. It was like a fair enough conclusion. It just felt like it was just the end. An abrupt ending in a way. Well. Oh, they bring the O2 kids back again. But again, this is the thing throughout the entire series. They barely mention the O2 kids. Like somehow no one takes into consideration that they may be fucking missing or something like that. But no, in this movie, they're back. But again, it's just silhouettes. It's just their silhouettes. They never ever you don't get to see their faces or their designs or anything like that. You just see their silhouettes. So you have to sort of come to a conclusion of what they may look like. And the whole thing is that they're in these chambers because the Japanese government's got the kids first and managed to save them by putting them in these life support capsules. Okay. And then they sort of covered the whole thing up, fair enough. Yet still nobody fucking questioned this. Nobody. What did the family say anything? Did the family question why their kids were missing? Why did the original Adventure kids just sort of not question this either? Fucking even, especially TK and Kyrie, the ones who know the most, they barely brought it up. So it just seems a little bit like, oh yeah, we covered, the whole thing was covered up. Oh, it's a sort of convenience. It was sort of, and even, I'm sure there should have been some missing posters that fucking leaked. At least bring attention to the fact they're fucking missing. Just not just saying, oh yeah, we're covered up. Because I'm pretty sure people would have asked questions. Okay, I've already talked about, I think, like 2 bad points. I'll balance that with another good point. The fucking Kaiser in this film is he's fucking hilarious. While I was watching it, I burst out laughing several times just watching it. And it did kind of ruin his series. I originally thought him as this sort of very serious sort of character. That did kind of ruin it for me. He just became like a very, very corny, over the top, sort of like the Joker from Batman in a way. It did sort of ruin that sort of serious tone for me, but you know, to be honest, I take that for the fact that he was possibly the best fucking thing in this film. Absolutely, his dancing and the dancing. The dancing looked terrible, but that was because of the bad animation. But somehow it worked because of that. That's the thing. Sometimes in his sequences, sometimes having bad animation somehow made it better. I don't know how you could do that, but apparently Toei Animation did. They somehow were able to do that. So yeah, he was the best part in the entire thing, even though he practically did nothing. And when he and the thing is, his story is a sort of when he didn't really lose. He's just sort of like, that's it. I'm gonna go off back to the digital world, and they are hinting that there might be something more, especially with the tweets that came up before movie 6, where they were saying where they hinted that there's going to be a new project. I'm not going to go much into that with this video, but that was sort of a thing that came up. So then the big conflict is with this big Digimon that was a combination of Meiko, whatever, Mon, and Gatomon into this. I can't remember the name. I only just watched it yesterday, and the complicated names. They combined together, and now they're going to completely erase the real world. But at the same time, Hakamon is saying that, you know, this godlike Digimon wants to reboot the real world. And Izzy being the one saying, no, I can't allow this. So it is essentially what happened in movie 3, except instead of it being the digital world, they're rebooting the real world. But Izzy wants to try and actually solve it. That's the sort of the story, but was it as investing? I don't. Maybe it was because the battle scenes made it more investing, but the story is, there's something about the way it's structured and the way it's paced. There was a sequence in which there were 4 sequences where there was a sort of somber, sad moment. Had the characters had a time to breathe. Then it was followed up by a funny, wacky situation with a Digimon. Then it went back to a very somber, very reflective moment, a chance to give characters emotions. It was the scene with Matt and Garamon just sort of talking, and with Garamon saying that he would be there with Matt no matter what, and it was a very good moment. And then again, they had it sort of in a way ruined by having the Digimon do a wacky little sequence. And I guess that's what they would do in the original. I get that. I mean, I should address like, yeah, they would get, I would get that in the original because because the original itself was corny, but it's a sort of how it went from somber to corny in such quick time that they didn't give the somber moments enough that much time to breathe. It was always fun. I would have liked it more if they had the Matt and Garamo sequence, then followed it up with the sort of the beginning of the conflict, because then that gives them the time to be somber, but then they can't. It abrupts it that they have to move forward. Just having the sequence with the Digimon just felt completely pointless and padding, which is a recurring problem with the entire series. Is how there is far too much padding. And then there's fucking Kairi's story, and I would even say TK's story, because Kairi has this deal with if her Digimon is essentially gone, her brother to her is probably dead. So she has this. So she's essentially falling down into despair, and it's all built up for just how important Mako and her fucking Digimon is. It's not about her. It's not about her sequence. It's all about fucking Mako, and it's just sort of brushed the fucking way. There's a sequence where they bring. I can't remember his name. Demivon, something like that. I think we all know what one. The one that pretty much caused TK to punch the Digimon Emperor. They bring him back, and then I was thinking, oh, they can actually have some sort of conflict with TK and this situation. No, brushed away, never to be seen again. And those two really got the short end of the fucking stick throughout the entire series, in all honesty. And if this project is what I think it is, then those two would definitely need a lot more. I'm just going to say, those two definitely need a lot more. Now, I've talked a little bit about Mako, and honestly, Mako wasn't as bad in this film as she was in the fifth, but that doesn't mean she still is a bit of a fucking bullshitter. I'm gonna try and figure out the name of the Digimon. but her Digimon essentially through some way, because during the reboot, has all the fucking memories of all the Digimon. Fucking Deus Ex Machina. That is essentially what it is. It's a fucking Deus Ex Machina that somehow her Digimon just happens to hold all the memories of all the Digimon's past, and they need a password in order to essentially release all those memories, and essentially the fucking password is "ta much," which is essentially "thank you," which is essentially sort of yeah, I don't really fucking know, but that is the password, and that somehow releases, and that brings back all the memories of the Digimon, which in itself is fucking pointless because the reboot didn't really fucking matter. They didn't have to build up their relationship between the Digimon and the humans again. They just sort of like, we don't really know you, but hey, we'll be your friends. Which I know they did that in the original. That was the case. But it was through time that they built up this friendship all through the entire series. Here there's like, oh, let's be friends, and nothing comes of it. Nothing fucking comes of it. And suddenly they all get their memories like, oh, I remember now. I remember all this now. But again, it felt pointless. It was like, oh, great, you're all now Mega Evolutions. That's pretty much whoop-de-fucking do. And another thing about Mako having a Deus Ex Machina, it's her Digivice that starts this special evolution that combines all the Digimon together to essentially defeat and save the day and whatever. I have so many fucking problems with Mako. I have so many fucking problems, not just from this movie, but for the entire series. And if I ever don't do the run for whatever reason, let's just say that she is a fucking Mary Sue. And people are going to be pissed off about that. To be honest, I don't give a flying fuck about what you think about that. She is just a fucking Mary Sue. So then they had the situation with Ty, because in part 5 we had this sudden speculation that maybe he could really be dead. I mean, of course we fucking didn't know we knew he wasn't dead, but there was this speculation that he could be dead, despite the fact that in the trailer for movie 6 they actually show him in the fucking movie. So take all the action out of that. He's apparently in the laboratory where the O2 kids are, not without a scratch. Surprisingly, he was able to survive, to be able to get through that without being injured at least once. Yet the teacher, he gets fucking pulverized. The way they had him brought back to, since he goes into the part and brings, then when he reunites with the gang, it is kind of sort of brushed off. Like Matt just says, "You're late." Like somehow, like they knew he was alive. And I understand that they couldn't have an emotional moment because they were in the middle of the battle, but they didn't even show an emotional moment afterwards. They didn't really show anything afterwards. The only thing I say that really surprised me and really stood out was how Kyrie at one point said, well, how Ty said we have to kill Mako's Digimon in order to save the world, and Kyrie says, "I won't forgive you for that. I probably won't, but I'll fight with you." So that struck me because it does go to show that Ty as a leader will make the tough decisions in order to essentially save everything. I know I talk negatively about this film. But the whole thing is there are some really good moments. There are the moment with Matt and Gabumon. That was a really good moment. I just wish it didn't have the end, that the way it ended was. I wish it didn't end that way, in a way. The battle sequences are fucking beautiful. They're amazing. Even though the animation is sometimes rather shit in the film, there are some good moments. There were sequences where they showed some emotion. That was the thing, and just because that was the big thing about the movies, was the fact that everyone looked the same, and they all looked like they just didn't care. And there was like the scene with Ty. There's a scene with Ty trying to the only character that I think really cries throughout the entire film is Mako, and that's because we gotta make sure that all the animation is on fucking her. And I will say I'm glad they didn't do the cop-out ending where they have Mako's Digimon come back in the end, like, oh, we actually know how to save her, or that she comes back as a Digi egg or anything like that. They actually leave it that this Digimon is probably gone for good. And that, I'm glad they didn't do a cop-out ending for that. I mean, they did do the Deus Ex Machina with her fucking Digivice and the fucking memories and all that shit. But at least they didn't fucking do the whole completely 100% campy ending. The music was quite good. I mean, the music, I'm running quite low on all the good things to say. The music was quite decent. I still love that fucking battle song, even though some people might say it doesn't fit. I still fucking love it. I'm sure I'm missing a lot of things. I'm sure I'm missing out a lot of things that I could talk about. But those are sort of the major problems and major things I liked about the films. And all in all, I will admit it is sad that it's over. I mean, when I do that video, whenever that comes out, you will hear me talk a lot about everything that was wrong with it. And there is a lot of things that are wrong with it. This is not perfect. This isn't even close to being great. No, okay, there are moments okay, but I wouldn't say as a whole this is an excellent product. It does this thing that I'm happy I saw it, but at the same time I'm disappointed. Because, it is part of my childhood. I hold a lot of, essentially, you could say that I hold a lot of expectations from it. And I would have thought that maybe they would have put a lot more effort, especially for long-term fans. But it just didn't feel like that. They just sort of threw something together, and yeah. It felt like they really wanted to push the story of Mako, but nobody really came to Digimon Tri to see hear a story about Mako. They wanted to see the original gang. It's one of those double-edged swords in a way. I'm glad I saw it. I thought the final movie was okay. I think the first two movies are great. The third movie is good. The fourth movie is shit. The fifth movie is bad. It's not shit, it's just bad in a way. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it in that way. So yeah, thank you for watching me ramble for God knows how long. Do you agree with me? Probably fucking not. Hopefully I will get that video out maybe this month. Most likely it'll probably be in the summer, because I do want to take a bit of time off it, because it's going to burn me out, and maybe work on some new projects. So yeah. If you, by the way, one more thing. If you enjoy this series, if you enjoy me just rambling on about something for God knows how long, then tell me, because I kind of want to do more of these. I think they're really fun. So thanks for watching, and yeah, goodbye.